Mr. Gary Griffith. Pleasant good day, Mr. Gary, and pleasant good day, Mr. Boxo. Mr. Boxo, and we have Mr. Gary Griffith on the line.
Good day, Gary. How are you?
Not too bad at all.
Yeah, good.
You're banking on Tyson to win the fight just now?
I wonder if it's a fast or a fight.
Tyson was shock you guys.
All right. Gary, you know, I've been following you on the social media over a period of time, and albeit you have some very good points, very potent points, very nation-building points, and if the people in power, the decision makers, were to listen and take some of the advice, we'd be in a much better place than we are in right now. I remember, I say not this to say something, I remember when Basde Pandey were giving Hochoy Charles in Tobago a hard time. Hochoy Charles had to come down to Trinidad, go in Woodford Square, and he held a meeting there, and I was telling Pandey, I said, listen, if you lose Hochoy, you lose your next election. Because if Hochoy lose those 2 seats in Tobago and you're giving me enough problems to lose the 2 seats, the PNM will creep right in and you would lost the next election. And so said, so done. You joined up with the UNC recently and you made some comments, and I support the comments, by the way. People must be politically mature to understand it need Gary Griffith, it need Kamala, it need Rowley, it need all of us need each other, and we need to work to help each other, you know, to strengthen each other to gain our political victory. So I see Philip Alexander came on as the new kid in town, and he jumped on the Gary Griffith. Gary, this, that, and t'other. Philip, I need to say this to you. Joining the UNC mean that you want to unite all parties. But you cannot join the UNC to bury Gary Griffith. It don't work that way. And by the way, you have faced the polls on more than one occasion, albeit not successful. Gary hasn't faced the polls as yet, so we don't know what it would be his success story at the polls, but right now we're looking pretty decent. And my advice to you is to try and sit and work in harmony with all parties if you all want to gain a political victory at the polls at the next general election. And I would say this to Kamala also, that you have you learned from the Hochoy Charles Basde Pandey fiasco when that was taking place? Where were you? Did you learn? Politicians seem to have very short memory, and they keep repeating the same old foolish mistakes, and they get the same results. They lost office or they gain office. In this case, you all are trying to gain office, to get back into office, and it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of unity, and it takes a lot of strategizing. I say that to both Kamala. Kamala, as a leader, you need to unite your forces rather than have them disjointed and disunited. I am not happy, and I was never comfortable with the way it started, Philip Alexander versus Gary Griffith to come into the UNC. Nah. You don't get bragging rights by trying to waste down Gary Griffith, and at the end of the day, yourself ain't looking so good too, you know. But Gary, take over now, please. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah, well, sure. What you've said, anyone who understands political history of Trinidad and Tobago, that is exactly what it is. As much as, I saw sometimes certain persons in the UNC will be offended when I say that the UNC cannot win on its own in a 3-horse race. That is fact.
That's fact.
It is fact. The UNC have never been able to win any election whenever there are 3 parties involved. Even to the point when in 2001, Ramesh Maraj had such a small, virtually insignificant party. That candidate in Turapuna got 180 votes. That's all he got, 180. Mm-hmm. But that was the swing for PNM to win that seat by less than 300 and caused Patrick Manning to become the prime minister.
Yeah.
180 votes.
Right.
So that caused the 1818. Mm-hmm. So, and likewise, the only time the UNC ever won on its own was in 2000 when there was no third party. And because Basde Pandey had the maturity to embrace, to understand, to welcome and treat persons in that third constituency. And that's very important. The Carlos Johns, the Jerry Yetmings, the Mervyn Assams, the Gillets, the Quaitongs, and certain persons in the UNC were offended. So it's the only time that the UNC were able to embrace persons to that magnitude, and it only lasted a few months. Anytime there's a three-horse race, you'd have seen what happened in 1981 with the ONR. It caused the PNM to win by a large margin. ONR getting 91,000. 1999, the same thing happened with the NAR, of which Kamala Persad-Bissessar was part of. So it is shocking to hear her now try to trivialize and undermine the relevance of third parties when she was involved in a third party against the UNC in 1991, getting 127,000 votes, not getting a seat, but causing the PNM to win by a larger margin. And then in 2007, that third constituency moved to 147,000, and again, they did not get a seat. So 17 odd years later, you'll have persons between the ages of 18 to 35 who never would have voted before. So that number of that third constituency would have increased. Yeah. So for her to try to trivialize and state the non-importance of it, it is unfortunate. Whilst on the other hand, Boxer, as you will know, whenever that third party is respected and embraced with the UNC or the ULF, you will get an annihilation of the PNM, such as 1986 with the NAR, and in 2010 with the People's Partnership. So it is there to be seen that the third party, that rich constituency, may not at this time have the strength of the PNM and the UNC, because both of them hold that base of 150,000 each. That PNM, whether regardless of what the political leader will do, they will all blindly vote for that party, and that is their right, is not to criticize them. So they start off on 150,000 head start. But that third constituency, what they do and how they operate is the determining factor to decide the outcome of the general election at all times.
And that said, I agree with that statement. But I would like to say, and I want to say this to Kamala openly. If you want to get back in power, you must get all and sundry on the same page. You are playing into the hands of the PNM by having petty bacchanal in your party. Gary Griffith versus Philip Alexander is a SHIT fight. The bigger fight is the UNC with all hands on deck versus the PNM. And that is the discussion. I don't want to hear Philip Alexander criticizing Gary Griffith, and Gary Griffith have to defend himself against Philip Alexander. And Gary Griffith is calling on the UNC to do the honorable thing and the right thing, and bringing people to the table, getting people to sit down and talk and understand that we have a bigger fight than a Gary Philip fight. I mean, who want to go out there and work for a party and you're disjointed and you look, politicians, opposition politicians, when you all are out of office, you must realize that you have no power. What will give you the power to get into the office is people saying the right nation building discussion, giving the people hope, putting. Well, right now we're in a hopeless situation. All sorts of things gone wrong. And the few people we have that can make sense, identify the ills, put things together. You all want to tell me that you all cannot sit and work things out for the greater good to have the bigger fight. I remember Iraq and Iran was fighting a terrible war. For years they fight. And when America came to Iraq, what Iraq said to Iran, let us stop fight. We have a bigger fight on we hand. The USA is the bigger fight. And they stopped, the war stopped, and the both of them came together to fight the USA. So, history is there, political history is there to demonstrate to these jokers. Bury your emotions, put your petty politicking aside, and look at the bigger picture and the greater good. Gary, go ahead, take the floor again.
No, and you're correct, but I just want to clarify, this perception with Gary versus Philip. If you look at the releases, right, during the local government election, we had nothing to say about the PEP, nothing. And the reason for it is that we as a political party, not in government or opposition, why would we spend our time attacking another political party that is not in government or opposition? The PEP, 99, or I think every single release they made attacked the NT. So You're not in government or opposition. You spend all your time attacking us. That is your business. And now and then I will be forced to defend myself if there was an inaccurate statement made. So the concept of this Gary versus Philip, that is really in the minds of people. You know what it's like? It's like boxers. Like I have a house and my neighbor is throwing stones at my roof every single day, and I'm not saying anything. And then the other neighbors now arguing with me to say that you and your neighbor need to sort yourself out. But I'm not. We never said anything. So why are you putting us in that? If it is that the other side, other political parties would like to now change their style, that's fine. But we have no style to change. We were never involved in any catfight with any other political party. We knew where our objective was. The reason you form a political party is to get into government and to win. So the focus would be on the PNM. Anytime you are a political party not in government and you spend all your time speaking about another political party not in government, then something is wrong, which goes to the point of Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. I am indeed disappointed that you would have seen what happened in the local government election, Boxu. The Kamala Prasad-Bissessar pleaded with me to work with all of her candidates in San Fernando, in Sangre Grande, in Tunapuna, in Diego Martin, to help her candidates, because the UNC votes could only do so much. And there will be that other element of individuals who may not be pleased about the PNM, but they're not comfortable with the UNC. And then I was able to try to influence those persons, work with us, let's win this. And that is what caused the massive increase or decrease of the gap that the PNM had in San Fernando and the increase in Sangre Grande. For anybody in the UNC to feel that San Fernando in local government moving from 6-3 to 5-4 and PNM holding to that 5th seat by 24 votes is because people just started liking the UNC more. You're fooling yourself. It was because of the NTA voters that came out to support the UNC candidates. Thanks to Kamala Prasad-Bissessar pleading with me constantly to work with her candidates in San Fernando. And then the same thing with Sangre Grande, where the PNM were hoping they would have won that corporation. Instead, by me walking there for dozens of hours a day, on several occasions, it caused the gap to be even widened to make it a safer seat against the PNM. And the thanks you get for that is to come now, a few months later, to say, well, what you bring to the table, who are you, what relevance are you? Who put you as political leader, which, by the way, shows that Kamala Prasad-Bissessar doesn't understand political history, because the way that I was appointed as political leader of the NTA is the exact way Basio Pandey was appointed as the political leader of the UNC and Club 88. When you first start a political party, that is how it is selected. But by trying to do all of these things to undermine us, that third constituency, that bridge constituency of that 150,000, they are a very sensitive lot. And they are not going to be in any way, by you attacking them, if you feel it's going to cause them to now vote for the UNC, you're dead wrong. They will go back to the PNM or not vote, which is what happened in 2015 and 2020. So it seems that, unfortunately, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar had a very short memory to see the value of what the NTA put. We took the 31 hardest PNM seats, the hardest. Had we won any one of those, it meant the UNC would have won the other 30 seats that the PNM won that would have been easier to win. And those 31 seats, PNM would have won by 1,500 to 3,000 in 2020 against the UNC. With it being an NTA, we were able to cut almost all of those seats by 3/4. Even more, some of them by 1,200, we cut it to 150. It was massive inroads we cut into the hardest PNM heartland. So to come now to try to ask for the relevance of the third constituencies, it shows, unfortunately, that Kamala Prasad-Bissessar has forgotten, she has not learned anything, or there are persons inside there who are deliberately intent to demand that the UNC must go alone, which is Julian John, and I'm being very open. I always try to be transparent. In the meeting, Julian said, we do not need you, we do not need any other party, we can win alone. Julian John is the only person in this country who thinks that way. And if Kamala Prasad-Bissessar continues to take the advice of Julian John, the UNC will be in opposition for 15 years instead of 10.
Well, I have one question to ask. How are you doing, sir? Pleasant good morning and pleasant good day.
Hi.
One question is that in terms of, do you think that there is a need to call for internal election under the UNC?
Not my business. I will be totally out of place to get involved in the decisions being made by the UNC. What I can say is that whoever is in the national executive of the UNC, whoever is the political leader, must have that maturity not to make a repeat of the mistakes of 2007, because that's what Basio Pandey did. He showed total disrespect for that third constituency. He bypassed them, he ignored them, he disrespected them. to cause them, refer to them as knife and fork. And that 147,000 said, look, well, we are going to show you how powerful we are. And he put them back in opposition. So all that what we would like is to make sure that whoever is in the hierarchy of the UNC or the national executive, they must not be influenced by individuals who have very little understanding of the politics of Trinidad and Tobago, such as Julie John, who will foolishly try to get people in the UNC to believe that the UNC can win alone. And this is not in any way to disrespect the UNC. We appreciate the fact that you're a larger party, you're a bigger, you have greater history, you have greater finances, you have 19 seats. But because of that, it does not give you the right to disrespect us. It is similar, gentlemen, to, I call it political domestic violence. You can't say, come under the umbrella of the UNC, work with us, but we will decide every single thing and you will have, your only involvement is to give a recommendation. The country, they do not want that. I think the vast majority of the country want the PNM removed, but they do not want a sole UNC government. They would like to see other parties that have a say in the decision-making process of that government. So I am not here to decide who should be political leader, who should be the national executive. I'll be out of place. What I would ask is if there are problems in the national executive or the political hierarchy that they do not understand and appreciate and recognize the importance of that bridge third constituency, then it means that persons must be educated to understand that, or only then changes should be made. Because if you go down the present road that is being held of the view that the UNC can go alone and they need to go alone and there's no need for any support from a third party, it means that the hierarchy is going to lead those 200,000 UNC supporters back into opposition.
All right, Mr. Griffith, can you hold on a minute, please, and Mr. Potts? We are going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after this message. We'll table talk with Navin, but our co-host, Boxer Potts, and our guest, Mr. Gary Griffith.
Sound Visual Concepts prioritizes delivering top-tier entertainment and informative experiences globally. Their dedicated mission aims to create an inclusive platform for a diverse audience. The focus remains on engaging with viewers and listeners, ensuring their satisfaction. Sound Visual Concepts values audience feedback and incorporates it into their content development. Viewers and listeners are at the core of all decision-making at Sound Visual Concepts. Their approach revolves around delivering top-notch content across various platforms. Sound Visual Concepts, your online high-quality entertainment television station.
All right, welcome back to SVC Media. Table Talk with Navin. Mr. Gary, Mr. Griffith, sir, Potts.
Let me respond to what Gary just said.
Yes, okay, no problem.
You know, when the UNC won the election in 2010, they had the other party, what you call them,
COP.
What was that?
The Congress of the People, the Congress of the People,
COP,
the MSP,
COP, right.
COP and NJAC.
And I said to the then, a lot of people in the UNC, if we don't give the COP the respect that they deserve, that they have a say at the decision-making table, and we keep them alive, we're going to lose them, and they're going to merge back into the PNM. Here it is that you have, I'm not blowing Gary trumpet, but here it is that you have a man with a lot of currency, political currency on the ground and in the air. I say the air because where the air is where, that's what I mean.
Right.
But you have a man with a lot of political currency, you have a man with a lot of awareness, a lot of visibility, and he has been tried and tested and proven in that the statement he just made there that he walked with the UNC in the last election and they saw the difference in the people coming back to the UNC to say, we have somebody in here that we could trust or we believe in or we could talk to. And he's not, man, all of us tainted as politicians, but he's not as tainted as some of them or most of them. I myself I bracket myself in the same category where I come, but tainted or untainted. And all of us get some mud thrown on us for some reason or the other, albeit unfair. But when you're in a fight, if you sign up to go to the army and you feel you're going to come back to go to war in the army, and you feel you're coming back out alive or without some damage, or lost a limb or something, you're fooling yourself.
Sure.
So when you get involved in politics, you have to roll with the punches, take the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you come back out alive, so be it. And if you come back in a box, so be that. But I'm saying that to say that had the UNC given the COP the type of respect and keep them happy, they would have still been in office.
Sure.
And here it is that you're coming to make the same mistake. You have the same group of people willing to give you a second chance via Gary Griffith. And Philip, you're welcome too. You're just welcome. Jolene, you need to understand the history of Trinidad politics, the present day dynamics of the politics. You all went to the polls twice with this, pushing the same philosophy, using the same tactics, and you was not successful. Here you have people that come in. Jack is back on board. Gary's on board. Philip, you should be on board. Jolene, you should be all embracing and encouraging. And Kamala, by the way, Jolene John alone does not run the UNC. Jolene doesn't own the UNC. Yes, Jolene, you have an opinion. And we respect that, you know. We take your opinion into consideration. But when it comes to the people business and getting the people and wooing the people back to you, you can't go out there and boast and say the UNC could go alone and win alone. You went twice and you didn't win. Twice, not once. If you're doing the same thing over and over and looking for the same results, something wrong with you. So I am saying to Jolene, I'm saying to Jack, I'm saying to Anil, Kamala, all you, if all you want people to work for you, and if all you want people to respect all you, bring back the parties together and let we know up front. Gary, you go handle national security, that's your thing. Jack, you could handle something, maybe works. Anil, you go run sports. Everybody have their ministry and properly well funded so that they could push the people's agenda to get the good governance results that we keep preaching about. We are criticizing. Go ahead.
I have a question to that. Mr. Griffith, you could come into this too.
Yeah, Gary, I'm back on board.
Remember, you have control of this program also, eh?
Sure.
This is about you, you know, Gary. This program is about you.
So that's what Table Talk with Navin is about. It's a table discussion. So anybody could butt in, anybody could throw in
Butt in at any
points.
time.
You could just cut in at any time you want, right?
Sure.
Take control of the program, and the program is all your own. The thing about it is, right, my question is, now, Boxer have a point, Mr. Griffith have his point, but my point is, we are in the year of the general election, correct?
It's next year.
It's next year. Next year.
2025.
All right, 2025. What we're trying to do now, I want to change the topic a little bit, Boxer.
Go ahead. Do
All right, Mr.
it.
Griffith, is that how can we fight this whole scenario, that the situation where the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago is affected with crime, and also affected in overall with the prices of food, gases, and stuff, right? What are the focuses? What is the point of trying to see if we could get the PNM government out of election?
Out of office.
Where we could bring the citizens and bring the country back to the way it used to be, where everybody could eat and live and sleep comfortable in the day and in the night. How we could bring that back, Mr. Griffith?
You're asking answers. Gary, answer that question. Go ahead.
Well, again, the present strategy that I'm seeing with Jolene John is to hope that persons will be so fed up and hate the PNM that they will just vote for the UNC. That based on that, what you just said, the PNM being unable to provide the citizens with their basic needs. The hope is that you could win an election by default. That is not going to happen by that same knife and fork, 147,000 you spoke about. They're not going to do it. They're not going to state, well, because of PNM's massive failure in providing us with those things that we need, we will just now vote them out of office. That is not going to happen. Because of what happened in 2010 to 2015, there is that concern, which is exactly what we are speaking about. We have that bridge constituency. If you notice, the things that I speak about especially is that we spend more time finding solutions. We don't spend time about attacking, discrediting. We have political parties and leaders that every single statement they make is to attack the other side. We don't have time for that, and that is exactly why. So the only way that bridge constituency of that 150,000, the majority will come and vote for a third party working with the UNC, is if they believe that, which is what the COP had. Listen, in 2007, those 41 candidates in the Congress of the People, I think was the best amalgamation of candidates in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. It was quality, the individuals that we had there. The difference, however, is that, as I said, the base, you could put Barack Obama under the PNM to vote to go for a seat in Caroni, he's going to lose, and vice versa for the UNC in Laventille. So that is the unfortunate thing. But that 147,000, they look for solutions, they look for policies, they look for people, they look for the party with the political will. That is what we are bringing to the table. And that is the point. So by us, what we are going to show is our roadmap towards the transformation of Trinidad and Tobago. So this is not just about the NTA being focused on reducing crime. The reason why I was able to make the country feel safer, build public trust and confidence in the police to 59%. After I left, it went down to 8%. When I left the last full year, the homicide rate was 342. A year later, after I left, it went up to over 600. Mm-hmm. It is because of the management team that I had around me. And I intend to find a way to make sure that when we get in government, we can do the same thing. But the 147,000, they will not stain their finger if they believe that the NTA is just going to be an arm or a subset of the UNC. So when you hear comments on that Monday night forum, come under the umbrella of the UNC, come in our home, be with us, and if you're not with us, then here's a PNM. They're not going to influence people to buy into that. They want to know that the NTA has, we will have individuals who will be willing to come out and transform Trinidad and Tobago, and they will now come and vote for a third party working with the UNC. And the UNC, Boxo, they have it on a platter. This is not a situation of the COP where there was a perception that the COP will feel that they were better than the UNC. There was always that perception that caused certain arms of the UNC to feel that you need to know your place. I was in the UNC. I won my seat in a UNC executive in 2006 when I first started into politics against a slate with Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, Basdio Pandey and others. That was a powerful slate, and only Sadiq Bash, Manohar Ramsaran and myself won our seat in the national executive of the UNC 12-3. Because I was supporting Winston Dukran as he was the political leader on his slate. So I have been there. You know the Gary Griffith's personality. You know that my style is not one of accepting wrongdoing, but I am not a Trojan horse coming inside here to cause problems. And that is why when you saw the local government election campaign, you see the harmony between the blue NTA and the yellow. It was like a carry bottle, that yellow and blue. You were seeing genuine relationship and an understanding. It worked. We defeated the PNM by over 60,000 votes and a 30% voter turnout. So that general election that is 60%, you will get more of those knife and fork third constituency voters. So which means you could get 120,000 difference. That is the exact difference of the People's Partnership to the PNM in the 2010 election. So if something is working, why would people go into Kamala Prasad-Bissessar's ears to whisper, well, we really don't need them, they don't have that much support, we could go on our own? It is either incompetence or sabotage. Whichever it is hoped that the UNC National Executive, whichever is the president or the new one or whatever, they must understand that one person cannot and should not make the decision that could solely affect the outcome of the general election. Because if this continues, disrespecting the third parties and showing no regard for them, you're going to have history repeats itself, similar to what took place in 1981, 1991, and 2007.
That's right. And, on that note, I think the onus is on Kamala. Kamala, I'm telling you that this morning, the onus is on you to bridge that gap. The onus is on you to bring everybody into the UNC with respect, with dignity, and with some class in it. And let me make this point to you, Kamala. Remember, I call you a fire queen, because when you was in office, you fire left, right, and center, and you fire away the COP out of the UNC. I will make a point now. Daryl Smith was one of the biggest embarrassment for the PNM. And I'm using Daryl Smith as my yardstick for this discourse. Because when Rowley was in opposition, Rowley called on you to fire everybody, and you just oblige. Every time somebody look like they do something wrong, fire them, and you just oblige. So you satisfy Rowley by firing away the COP out of the UNC. Here comes Daryl Smith in the PNM with a big issue on the hand. On the PNM, and what did Rowley do? He protected Daryl Smith, Commissioner of Inquiry. This, Commissioner of Inquiry. That. Cover up on this. Non-disclosure. One thing to the other. And move Daryl Smith from sports and put him in housing. Then you move him there and quietly put him on the back bench. And now, Daryl Smith is an ambassador back in the PNM. It goes to show how the PNM protect their own, and you, Kamala, are learning how to protect your own. You're getting people with currency coming into your life, good political will and good political currency, bringing back people, the people who the people like, the people who the people have confidence in, the third party, the cosmopolitan face, and I'm saying that it's not a race thing, but it's a real thing. The cosmopolitan face, the people who the people want to see look like them to vote for them. Because the propaganda machinery of the PNM was the UNC become a Hindu party. Yeah? That was the propaganda. I am not racist, I'm not classist, and I am talking religion. I'm talking about the propaganda machinery of the PNM say and how they brand the UNC to make you look bad for them to get back in office. Now, follow the propaganda, follow what didn't work for you, follow what destroyed you, follow what Rowley used and what method he used to keep his party in office, albeit criticizing you and demonizing the good people that could come to build back your party. And you buying into that BS, Kamala. Kamala, something wrong with you, you know, because here what happened? If Daryl Smith today could be an ambassador in Miami, ambassador, he's back in the PNM with dignity. The way you call it, sanitize him and bring him back. You cannot find a way. We don't have to sanitize Gary Griffith. Gary Griffith have what you call, in my opinion, and he has demonstrated to us that he has political currency and he can bring a lot of goodwill to the party. I find all it take too long to come and say, hey, Kamala, Jaylene, Philip, Jack, let me talk. You see, we can't go out there and be bashing each other, and because the 150 that Gary speak to, from the time we start bashing each other, that number going to dwindle.
But I want to find out something, Boxo. I want to really find out something, right? Is question to you, Mr. Griffith. What is the PNM have against Mr. Griffith when he was the Commissioner of Police?
Performance! And come now, man, Gary.
What the PNM afraid of, Mr.
Jump
Griffith?
in here, Gary.
Let me hear that. What they afraid of?
Well, if you would have seen it with the person who, whether it is in charge of the Integrity Commission, the Industrial Court, the Director of the SSA, the Commissioner of Police, the PNM likes to have persons in strategic positions who they can control. And that has been the problem. So when a Prime Minister was trying to ask me to arrest people in their poolside, in their own home, that was not the law being broken, and I refused. If it is that you want to give me $40 million to hire persons, make them SRPs to target and possibly arrest political opponents, and I refuse to push the envelope to try to get people arrested unless there's enough evidence. They don't want that. So they will try to find yes people, puppets, even though they may be totally incompetent. What the PNM builds on is making sure they could control and manipulate independent institutions. So that is what it is. That was the problem. And going back to Boxo's comment, in fairness to Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, what he spoke about is the Kamala Prasad-Bissessar of 2010. What she did is embrace, to welcome, to state that there's room for you. You're going to be on equal footing. And that caused the vast majority of that 147,000, about 100, because the UNC, when Kamala says we have 300,000 votes, no, 300,000 UNC supporters. No, you don't. You have 200,000. That is what you had in 2007. The COP had 147. When you are willing to embrace them and welcome them, 100 of that 147,000 will then vote for the UNC. The People's Partnership. About 20, 30 will say, nah, I want nothing to do with that party, and they will go back to the PNM. That happens. So what she did was she opened her arms to say, there's room for you, you're treated as equals, let us work together. And that caused the vast majority of the COP 147,000 to gravitate and to support her in 2010. Basio Pandey did the same thing in 2000. He was able to say, look, there's room for you, welcome all, come and treat it as equals. And that is what caused the UNC to win to defeat the PNM in a 2-horse race in 2000. When Pasio Pandey lost his way and he forgot and he started trying to trivialize and disrespect and devalue that third constituency to solidify his base, he forgot that the persons in Central and Deep South cannot vote twice. And when it is you do that, you isolated the others and they voted against you, and that's why it went from to PNM winning 26 to 15. Kamala Prasad Bisesa is now operating as the same manner of Basio Pandey in 2007, trying to solidify your base and say the right things to them. And speaking about, we will not be used and we will not be there. Who has used you? Who is disrespecting you? The NTA, we have done nothing in that whole local government election. We didn't ask for safe seats. We didn't ask for funding. We didn't ask to come on your platform. We didn't ask to borrow your office. We didn't ask for you to come and work with our candidates. In contrast, you borrowed the offices of the NTA in Port of Spain because you didn't have. You continue to ask me to speak on UNC platforms to build your support. You continue to ask me to walk for hundreds of miles with your candidates to help you. You did everything to show the value of us. And we never asked for anything. We never asked for safe seats. We never asked for anything. In return, you won by 60,000 votes. And what you will do, and I'm not saying about being ungrateful, but out of disrespect, you will now question the value of that same third party and try to say that, well, you must come and you must listen to us and you must adhere to our rule and function and take our orders and take our command. No, there was something that was working. You decide to change your mind out of the blue. And this is the Kamala, or this is the Pasio Pandey of 2007. So if she keeps operating like that, you're going to get the results of 2007. If she operates of the Kamala of 2010 or the Pandey of 2000, you will get the results similar.
Well, I am going to reach out to her. I'm going to echo my sentiments based on this conversation. We ain't gone out there, you know, she's gonna see it if she is look at anything, because I find, and Kamala, let me tell you something. You need to stop seeing people with your ears. You need to see them with your eyes. You need to have one-on-one with people. You need to stop listening to these sometimes jokey people you have around you. They're not politicians. They are technocrats. I'm not saying Jolene John is not a politician. She's learning on the job. Jolene John is a very good administrator. But you see, politics and wooing people to your party and getting people to vote for you and dip your finger for you. You see, getting some of the East-West corridor seats that all you so crave. You see that 4 seats? You need people like Gary Griffith. You need people like Boxer Potts. You need people like Arnell Roberts. You need people like Philip Alexander. You need people like little football fellow. What's your name again? Naked. You need all these people so that people could relate to them. People could feel comfortable with them. People could trust them. That, whilst you're in government, because people have a way of saying, boy, when them get in government, they turn off their phone. We can't get to see them. And this is the sour pill in people's mouth. So you need to give the people somebody that could reach, somebody accessible to them, people that could trust, people they feel comfortable with, people that they feel will work for them, people that they feel will give them a hearing, people that they feel will help them when they're in a dire straits. That is the kind of people you need, Kamala, on the East-West corridor to get back in office. Kiddie Charming, you have Kiddie Charming there, but which bring in the last 2 elections. You have Jolene, what they brought in the last 2 elections. You have, what you need to understand is the merge of forces. And you will get back in office. But you see, from the time you start to trivialize, a man bring 150,000 votes to your table, and you trying to trivialize that for what? You know what I think? It has some real greedy people. Some arrogant, illiterate, greedy people. That the greed does overrule their judgment and they just throw it away last minute because of the perceived income when they're in power. So they start to position themselves to power broker whilst throwing away, losing the trust and the currency of the cosmopolitan people that could get you back in office. I want to say, the mixed race people now, the East-West corridor people, And for the people on the East-West corridor to believe that your party is not a Hindu party. And I don't think it is. This is an unfair comment.
I agree with you in that way, Boxer, because they need to separate race from...
No, but I don't think the UNC party is a Hindu party, but it's being branded like...
Mr. Griffith, do you agree that there's too much racism involved with the politics?
Well, definitely. That should not play a part. But when I listened to Kamala Prasad section, she said that the two major political parties are not based on race base. I mean, why would you try to mislead the country? That is a fact. Whether it is accidental, whether it is based on policies, whether it's based on who the political leader is every single time, it doesn't matter. It is a fact that the vast majority of the PNM voters and supporters are Afro-Trinidadian, and the vast majority of the UNC voters are Indo-Trinidadian. But what causes the difference is that, what will cause the difference is when you have that bridge constituency of persons who may be mixed, who may be Afro and Indo-Trinidadian, but they're making decisions based on policies, persons who are middle income, small businessmen, persons who are not going to blindly vote a PNM till they're dead and are born a UNC and are going to die up a UNC. They are that respect them in the same way because they are not going to support you every single time. That doesn't make them bad people. And it goes back to that 147,000. When the NTA decided to form an alliance with the UNC, we lost 1/3 of our support. And that's what happened with the COP. You got 147,000, they joined with the UNC, 1/3 will leave. But 2/3 will go across and work with the UNC if they know there's a third party of proper representation. If you don't show that respect, and that is all that we are saying. We are not trying to bully the UNC and demanding anything. We have not demanded one thing. As I said, in the local government, the UNC started with 60 odd seats from 2020. We never asked for a safe seat. We're not even asking for a safe seat now. We took the 31 hardest PNM seats to prove our worth, and we did it. As I said, every single one of those seats, we cut it from UNC losing in 2020 from 1,500 to 3,000 to 150 to 300-400 for most of those seats. That was unbelievable. So we did what was required. We caused the PNM to peg back and start having to put support in their own safe seats rather than put all the focus on Sangre Grande and San Fernando. We did our job. We're not asking, all that we are asking for is just respect us this time around. And because of that, you're saying that we don't deserve that respect. Come under the umbrella of the UNC, and if you're not with us, then here's a PNM. All of that, those things, that rhetoric will just cause these same floating voters to say they have not learned a darn thing, and we'll do the same thing we did in 2015 and 2020.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Potts.
Larry, I hear you. I understand clearly you're making a point, and I hope I'm making the same point too with a different spin on it. The 150,000 people that you need to build your base that will move from left to right, an emotional move, a wrong statement move, any kind of little stupid political dotishness, you could sway them left to right. Like when you had the black man versus the banana skin, the monkey versus the this, them little things that really make a difference in the masses' mind, especially the emotional masses. Here it is, and this discussion must be constant. You have not been able to convince the East-West corridor to give you back 4 seats. You are struggling with 2 elections. You got it and you did more for them than the PNM did for them over time. But you know what happened? You lost your respect for them. People get emotionally jolted and they move away from you. The propaganda that the UNC thief more than the PNM in their 5 years and the PNM thief in 25 years. BS. You cannot thief past your budget. You can't thief outside your budget. If you have 100 billion, you got to thief inside of that. If you're thieving, according to what they're saying. So just diffusing, they didn't thief more in the 5 years than the PNM.
I see a smile on Mr. Griffith's face there, Sonny. I know you have something to say.
Yeah. So Gary, you can jump in at any time. You could cross me to a take.
I see that smile in your face.
No, I would like you to jump in.
I am agreeing with you. The UNC thief, them thief. You built a Brian Lara Stadium that's supposed to cost 30 million for 1,200 million. You're the last person to be talking about stealing.
About
And
go ahead, Gary, go ahead.
but that is that we wanted you see the PNM one is always their logo is look, we're incompetent, we are inefficient, we are a waste of time, but them thief.
Yeah.
And they wanted the PNM, they keep saying the same thing over and over. They get people to believe it.
Right.
And all it takes is that it seems that certain persons within the UNC are a little concerned that me and what I will bring, my principles, it's going to affect them in government. They're already thinking about how Gary could affect them in government, because Gary in government will not allow a situation where I am going and opening a police station, and then when I look behind me, one of the biggest community leaders is behind. And I am telling my special branch, well, lock him up. No, sir, we can't do that. Why? Because he built the police station. You hear what I'm speaking about? You're talking about a man who was one of the most notorious reported gang leaders, built a police station. And the person who did it is the same person who is responsible for all of this. So that is where they're going to get a concern. When Gary says, look, I am going to have a serious problem with gang members getting state contracts. Gang members, and it happens with both administrations. And I put a stop to it as Minister of National Security. I stepped on toes. You're giving a man a $5 million contract to build a $50,000 box train. They're using the profits to purchase more weapons, hire more gang members, put hits on other gang members to get their contracts, and use their profits to buy and pay off rogue police officers. It can't be right. So those are the type of principles that I intend to bring to the table to prevent and minimize the possibility of corruption, mismanagement, working with criminal elements. And certain persons may seem to be offended that if Gary comes into this government, it is going to affect us. So let's keep him out. But by keeping us out, you're not going to get in government. So instead of you understanding that all that we are asking is to make sure that there's transparency, that there's a degree of professionalism, that we minimize wastage and corruption, take away incompetence and put in square pegs in round holes, which is the de facto criteria for selection of persons in all the state boards in this country, because there's no qualification to be on a state board other than your party card in your back pocket, which I would like to change. So by me talking this talk, it has lifted some eyelids, and they've said, look, you see him? This man going to come here and cause more problems, just as he did as Minister of National Security. And so be it. That is what the third constituency wants. They want to know that there are people there that will prevent a repeat of Section 34, a repeat of Rishmi, a repeat of all the different hiccups that may have taken place. If there are persons who can state, hey, PM, this is wrong. The country does not want to have yes people around a political leader or a prime minister. They want to make sure that, because one person can make a mistake, and if she makes a mistake, they want to ensure that there are people who are independent thinkers that can say, hey, I think you're making a mistake. If you have yes people around you, you will have a repeat of the mistakes that would have taken place in 2010 to 2015. And may I add, the same mistakes that the PNM have constantly. At least 8 ministers tell me constantly, this man fired you as commissioner because of his own personal pettiness. But they're afraid to tell him anything because they want to keep their seat in the next election. That is what affects the PNM and the UNC. Lack of independent thinkers that can tell the political leader the facts.
And you know, I read something. I read a
you could
remind me about the Dale Carnegie a line in the Dale Carnegie.
All right, so we're going to take a short break. We're coming back. Box will continue this conversation with Mr. Griffith as our guest. All right, and it's important. I mean, it is very good that we're having this discussion here today. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with the SVC Media Table Talk with Navin.
Sound Visual Concepts prioritizes delivering top-tier entertainment and informative experiences globally. Their dedicated mission aims to create an inclusive platform for a diverse audience. The focus remains on engaging with viewers and listeners, ensuring their satisfaction. Sound Visual Concepts values audience feedback and incorporates it into their content development. Viewers and listeners are at the core of all decision-making at Sound Visual Concepts. Their approach revolves around delivering top-notch content across various platforms. Sound Visual Concepts, your online high-quality entertainment television station.
Hi, welcome back with Table Talk with Navin right here on SVC Media. All right, Mr. Boxer.
So, as Gary was saying, you must have independent thinkers, and you must be able to take good advice. And even though you have a favorite person, you have a Jolene John or a Monilal, she can make mistake. And she made a mistake by trying to trivialize the currency of the third party that you so need, that you should be craving now because you lost 2 elections without that 150,000 people or that currency, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there was a state, trying to remember the copy of the Dale Carnegie book, but I remember the story. They were going to bomb. No, one lieutenant said the president is a jackass. And another, the lieutenant said that, and another lieutenant who feel, he go be a news carrier. He say, hey, Mr. President, look, Boxer Potts just call you a jackass. He said, Boxer call me a jackass, my lieutenant? He said, yeah. You know the president though? He said, tell Boxer, I say, come, I want to talk to him. Boxer, why am I a jackass? Boxer said, well, President, you know, if you do this and you do that and you do that, we go win the war. So the news carrier thought that he was going to get favor with the president to look good by carrying news. The president said, okay, here what happened, Boxer. Allowing you. You want 10 bombs, you want 50 plane, you want 2 ship, you want that, again you that. Go and drop the bomb in Hiroshima and see if we go win the war. But it's on you, eh? Hey, the man went in, dropped the bomb and they win the war. So the lieutenant got praised by the president. The point I am making is when people come to gear, them jack information. Wait out, go home, sit down, think it out. Then somebody talk to me. When I'm going into a fight, I listen to everybody. One of my strongest points is listening to the opponent. How they think, how they feel. Look at the kinks in the armor. Exploit the weakness of them and penetrate them. That's one of my strongest points in boxing. And you are allowing the weakness of the opponent to be a strength. Gary, take over and help me here.
Well, I want to add one thing. The only difference, I want to go back to the same thing you spoke about with the president and the lieutenant. But there's also the other avenue, apart from the fact that the president being open-minded to speak to the person, to accept constructive criticism.
Right.
When you have a president or a political leader or a prime minister who does that, you call any person, I heard you said I was a jackass. 9 out of 10 times, the person said, but I never said that. The person lied to you.
Right.
No, if you did not call in the person, you would have kept it in your mind that it was true. And you say nothing and you start to sideline the person. You fire them. And the person doesn't understand why. And then all of a sudden, you make an enemy based on somebody whispered in your ear to tell you bad things about what the person said when it was not true. So apart from the fact of leadership being one, and again, because of being at the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, it taught us all of this. So it's not just about being open and welcoming constructive criticism, but not listening to third parties who will speak on behalf of others, and then you will automatically, you as a leader must not listen to the last voice that whispers in your ears to make a decision. That is not good leadership. Leadership means that the person said, and I have done it all the time, as soon as somebody says it bad, I will call the person and say, I heard you said so about me. 9 out of 10 times, but that is a lie, that is not true. And the person that they did it deliberately to cause some type of a breakdown in a relationship for their benefit. Because there are people, Boxo, even in the UNC, that prefer to be big fish in small pond, you know. They would prefer to be in opposition and be a senior lieutenant than to form an alliance and get in government and you may go down the pecking order 1 or 2. That is the type of individual we do not want, because you're thinking of yourself and not what is right for the party.
That's right.
For the country.
And I made the point on greed. Gary is spot on with this one, because a lot of the people in the political parties, I've been around the political arena for ages, and I've heard a lot of people whisper in prime ministers' ears, in ministers' ears, in PS's ears, and a lot of these people, like, they don't have, like what Kamala doing right now, she's seeing people with her ears, like they don't have their own mind, like you're a product of the last foolish statement you just heard. And the foolishness isn't this person coming to tell you something because they want to position themselves to misappropriate funds when they get their budget to play to give on the goods and deliverables for the people. I'm saying it openly, you know, and this is the agenda. Kamala, you must understand that. You're a wealthy woman. I don't think you want much more in life. You want power. But there are people around you they want power with an agenda of greed. You must make them out from now. Here's Gary Griffith telling you the truth. Okay, we're using the jackass philosophy. He's telling you the truth. Be open-minded enough to embrace the truth and see the value of the person. I just make the point. Rowley know the truth about Darrell Smith. But he also understands that he have a slim majority and he cannot disenfranchise and displease too many. So his strategy is to keep his team happy and well-oiled and stay in office. You, Kamala, have people like us who come in bringing the same or even more currency to you.
Right.
To oil your machine, to put you in office. And you looking to make Kuchuru, them people right out the gates? You're full of it. I don't want to say shit. Gary, come in and help me.
Yeah, and it is hope that we can have learned from our mistakes. As I said, you operate as the Basio Pandey of 2000 or the Kamala Prasad Bisesa of 2010, you're going to get the vast majority of that bridge constituency. You operate as the Basio Pandey of 2007 or the present Kamala, you're going to lose. And you know, all of a sudden, you want people in the USC will want to attack us for the comments that we're making. I'm just trying to be open and honest. We are not bullying ourselves. We are not demanding anything. We are not saying that we must get this if we get in government. There's nothing like that. So what is your reason other than being concerned that certain persons know that if people like myself will be in government, I will ensure that there are checks and balances that you as the Prime Minister may not pick up, because I may be on the ground much more. I may be in a position in a ministry that will be able to pinpoint many more things to prevent corruption, mismanagement, evil overcoming good. And if that is the case, you should welcome persons like that, not see them as being an obstacle that will affect your government, because the country does not want to have a government that is run along the lines of the same things that I spoke about, with gangs getting state contracts. You might have situations with possible corruption, mismanagement, square pegs being put in wrong holes in state boards. What is wrong with me trying to bring to the attention of the future government, which we should be part of? These are the things we intend to put in place to ensure that we'll be a better government and we will be able to deliver. By doing these things, you will reduce expenditure, you'll reduce wastage, you'll reduce corruption. So your $60 billion budget could go down to $45 billion whilst not affecting productivity. What does that mean? It means that there's absolutely no need for even a property tax. Jamaica, for example, their first 2 months of the year, they have one ministry alone in the first 2 months for the year acquired an income that was 2/3 of Trinidad's annual budget. That's the Ministry of Tourism. $1 billion US they acquired in the first 2 months, January and February. What have we done with our Ministry of Tourism? And again, going back with the national sporting teams, we have never done anything, lifted a finger. I am more sport-oriented than security, by the way. I have managed national teams for over a decade, acquired CAC gold medals, World Cup qualifiers. I've been on the technical staff with the West Indies World Cup team, technical staff with the national football team. And I have seen governments do nothing to assist now our national sporting teams. But as soon as they win, you're the first to be at the airport. The Miss Trinidad and Tobago, what did they do to fund and support her for the whole year she was preparing for this? As soon as she got in the top 4, you're running to the airport. Those are the things we can find avenues to fix. And if I'm doing that, it means that I'm demanding performance, people being accountable, and proper leadership. And so I am demanding that people work and work hard, and they don't utilize their ministries and their positions as a power play that can cause wastage, over corruption, and so forth. And because you see that this is what we are coming with, it seems that is something we don't want, so let's try to win alone. You're not going to win alone, because the country is demanding that there are other persons to work with the UNC to ensure good governance.
I have a question. I have a question here, because you made some important comments there, and it is very important what you said, that the government is only show up after you win, not before. Correct?
Yep.
But my question is, Mr. Gary, is that all these ideas and plans that you have, how can we convince these political leaders to take our ideas, which is positive? Because our ideas is relating the ideas from the citizens. At the end of the day, the politics have gone one way, not two way, because it's citizens out there who put them in the party, right? Correct? Who put them in power,
Yes.
put them in office, and at the end of the day, you use the citizens to get in office, now when the citizens having an issue and they're trying to relate the information and relate problems across the table and solutions to the problem, you're not taking the citizens' advice, and then you're punishing the citizens out there. You're advantaging them. So, all right, let me put it this way. Everything that you just said there is you speaking in behalf of the citizens of this Trinidad and Tobago. And you as a political leader, and you going up as prime minister, and then you apply for the president position, but we're talking about going up as prime minister. You have the heart. You see, this is what the politicians don't have out there, is heart. So some will agree, some will don't. But I am speaking in general because I'm a victim also as a citizen, right? And I just feel hurt to see that when the month come, we can't see about our family home as we used to. We are just sorry about, okay, I can go here and there, I will children, take them for the drive, take them out, because the gas prices are so high, it costing me close to $400 to fill my tank. Right. And at the end of the day, when you look at the expenses now, and the home, children are getting frustrated being home that the parents can't afford to take them out. What about the parents who getting frustrated being home because they can't get a proper job to bring in a proper income to cover their expenses at homes? Yeah, right? Now, Mr. Gary, your main goal in life is because you came from the military background, correct? And yes, you have the experience as a commissioner.
And he's very sport-oriented.
And he's very sport-oriented because I notice you love football and cricket. You love all sporting activities.
Because, I mean, under Gary
the question is, why only want to go up as a political leader? Why don't fight to go at a higher point?
Well, listen to this.
As becoming the Prime Minister,
Gary,
because
just give me a minute here.
Because the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, they love you, you know. I not one day I ever hear somebody said anything negative about Mr. Gary Griffith, eh?
Navin, thanks for making that point, and that's a hell of a good point, and that is something I was going about here to say here. You went to the polls twice. The people who want to support Gary rejected you. The people. You want my support to bring those people to you. How the hell you could tell me that you're listening to people telling you that you could go it alone when the same people tell you that twice and you lost? You ain't learning from your mistakes.
You're not taking advice from the nation.
Gary did the numbers, he did the demographics, he understood it. He speak to the 150,000 people that will swing from place, according to how the pendulum move, they will swing from place to place at the drop of a dime.
Right.
By way of giving the country confidence that you could restore peace and harmony in the country, that is to say, at a national security level. That is to say, police the nation, man the nation, stem the flow of crime. People want to hear that. People like a person who they feel, could give them that confidence and safety. You have that person, and you freaking coming to tell me that you looking to get in a fight with that person over a petty personality. And I urge Jaylene, I urge you, you bring value to the party, but you alone is not the party.
Well, I'm going to ask a question here, Mr. Griffith. If you appointed someone in position, and that person is doing their job, and the citizens are very well happy and comfortable and have trust in the person that you appointed as the position to represent, let me use you as an example, how would you feel that you go on against the citizens because you can't get, I can't get to control you.
Go and get the bush of the people.
But you are representing the people, not representing politics.
Political ignorance.
I understand as when Gary was as the commissioner of police, he was not getting politics involved as his position as commissioner of police, correct? And at the end of the day, when the citizens have a problem or they have an issue, he goes to them and they come to him. He had an open door policy, two ways, not just one way.
So he
Right.
won the confidence of the 150 that we're
No.
speaking about.
What you see,
Politics about numbers, you know.
right? But the biggest problem that we have in this country is that we only like to talk. We won't stand up and and protest and go out there and say, listen, we want Gary Griffith as our commissioner of police to take
Well,
control. No, that's
If
how.
I could.
There are people who will do it, Mr. Gary, but the ones who talking, only talking, but they're not going out there.
Go ahead, Gary.
Well, I beg to differ to some extent. I'll tell you why. Because on 2 occasions, I stood up against 2 prime ministers based on what was right. And on both occasions, and so, for example, when I was Minister of National Security, one of the concerns they had in the government was certain persons were upset that Gary was becoming the super minister. Myself and Vassan Bharat, they started rejected us, and I was removed as a Minister of National Security because of that. The persons went in there, they whispered to her, they gave her false information, and I was fired without her even meeting me. She didn't even speak to me to get the truth.
So you are a
Because
threat.
they-
You're a threat of performance to your job.
No,
Yeah.
let me tell you
They
how.
feel threatened
You know
that
what
you're doing a better job than they are doing.
Gary, hold your point. You made a very good point. The politicians globally, and I'm going to use Hitler as a yardstick here. Hitler killed a lot of his subordinates or his would-be popular ministers when they started to outshine him. A political leader hate when a politician under them, one of the ministers outshining them. They just hate it. Well, if you hate it so much, get up and perform and create your own awareness and visibility. This is what Gary's a man that's create your awareness, create your his visibility.
True.
Talk a talk and could back up his talk. He's a kind of Muhammad Ali in the arena. I go knock you out in the 4th round and you're getting knocked out in the 4th round. He's back up what he say he could do. People want that. Why it is you lost the last 2 elections? Because people didn't have the confidence that you could restore the positivity in the country. But you now have Jack on board. You get Gary on board. Okay, Philip, you're welcome. Jillian, when you get in power, you have what you call the opportunity to push your agenda. I only hope it's the positive one. Right? When you're out of power, you have no power, no currency to push nothing. So let me hear now.
All right. So your response to Mr. Fox before the break.
Yeah, so what I was saying, so that happened with me when I was a minister. And what was the end result, Navin? So in contrast, the UNC paid the political price. You fired a minister because he said he's going to speak the truth. And one of the more popular ministers. So you fired a minister 4 months before the election, you paid the price. That same third party, those same voters who you disregard and you trivialize, stain their finger to vote you out of government because when I remember this guy, he did the poll, Nigel Henry, or less than Henry, and he said when they asked, because in December 2014 the UNC had the People's Partnership, in April 2015 they were behind, and when they asked what has caused the change, they said because of the firing of the Minister of National Security. So you lost a government primarily because of a decision you made based on somebody whispered in your ears without even speaking. Keith Rowley then after, when I was to be Commissioner of Police, somebody went up to Miami, spoke to her, and they decided to abstain voting for me as Commissioner of Police. And then, but they all voted for Christopher. So it's not that I have any great blood with the UNC, but I understand the importance of politics. Then Keith Rowley used the Gary Griffith campaign in 2020, where they said in 2020 election, look, we have failed, we have been miserable, but we give you all Gary Griffith. I became the poster boy in the PNM in their manifesto. And it affected him after when they started having 89% national support from me to him. Forget about me. All that I am trying to do is to help you as a prime minister to get in government. I am not, if I wanted to be prime minister, I would have joined the UNC automatically and wait until Kamala will leave office or whatever. If it was about me, it is not about me. I am just trying to represent a bridge constituency that needs leadership, needs governance, needs somebody to serve them. And this is not because you're not going to get a UNC that will think like Basil Pandey in 86, where I have 14 odd seats, you only have 2, but I realize that this time the country doesn't need that type of leadership from the UNC, so I'm going to give you, or ULF, sorry, and you could now become the Prime Minister of the NAR. You're not getting the UNC to think like that. So this is not about me holding myself in a position to try to influence the UNC to make me prime minister. That's not what I'm here for. All I'm here is to act as a conduit towards finding an avenue for these third parties to work with the UNC for us to get in government and to have a good government. How difficult that is. So when Kamala Prasad-Bissessar says we will not be disrespected, it is a red herring as an attempt and an excuse to try to discredit us and devalue us. Nobody has disrespected you. Nobody has made demands. Nobody has asked for anything. So when she spoke about, you must come and who put you on the platform, you come with your hands swinging, what you bring to the table. You just start attacking us just so, and we never said a word or demanded anything. Because you're trying to use the disrespect as the excuse when the real reason is you don't want to have independent thinkers be in your government just to make sure you have a successful government. I think that's what the country wants.
I can ask a question one more time.
Go ahead.
Mr. Gary, do you think that there's a question that everybody is asked, even when you're having discussion outside with one-on-one and stuff? The question is, do you think that the police service should go independent by allowing the nation to vote and decide who they want as the commissioner of police, and try not to get politics involved with the police service to separate that entity? You think that could work out?
But that is a very powerful question. You see, the unfortunate thing is our political immaturity will cause politicians to always try to handpick persons who they will believe is going to assist them in politics. So whereas in New York City, the mayor hires and fires the commissioner. And he has a right to, because if crime goes up or down, the mayor is the one being held responsible. So it means that the politicians should have some say. But because of that, our politicians go out of their way to try to handpick somebody who they feel that this man will go to lock up UNC people, this person might come and lock up PNM people. That is not how you should be handpicking. The Ola Christopher is the most perfect example. She got 20-something% less than myself and others in 2018 by qualified, experienced UK experts who have selected commissioners around the world. 20-something%. She got 52% to my 82 odd. She got 3 out of 15 in role play. She got 3 out of 15 in mock media conference. She got 22 out of 50 in the interview. By and large, then you have a president who's handpicked by a prime minister who handpicks this present police service commission, comprising a financial consultant and a speaking consultant and a judge with no qualification, training, or experience in law enforcement, and they put this lady first. So it shows how this political manipulation will take place. And when you do that, who suffers? The country is suffering, which is why I keep saying, let's not blame Ola Christopher. She didn't impose herself on us, she applied. And that is where there's the concern. Politicians handpick people in these posts, not because of the person being the best fit, but because that person may influence them and help them politically, which is a serious factor that affects the development of our country.
You know, I was talking to a politician one time. I wouldn't call him in. And he said, I said, you know this boy, Richard Thompson, he looking like he could be a future politician. And the immediate response was, he's a difficult fella, boy. He can't control. Why would you want a man to control? But you're going out there on the hostels and you're telling them, we will work for you. That's the mantra. We're going to serve you. We're going to serve the people. You don't say, we want some people that we can control. You don't say that. That's the speakeasy campaign. And the hypocrisy in the political arena is they want somebody who they could rubber stamp the stupidity, the evil agenda, they could control. And when you get people that you could control, they make so many mistakes that you become so unpopular in such a short space of time. You must have independent thinkers. People who could guide you, not people who you could control. People who could guide you to higher heights. That is the people you need. And this is what Gary Griffith bringing to the table. And this is why I sticking to this point, and I don't want to talk too much about the commissioner of police thing. We're going to call another show for it and we're going to talk about that. But this UNC putting a team together to serve the nation as people who could really work for the nation. You need people like Gary Griffith on board.
Exactly.
Right, Gary, you don't have the last say now, please.
All right. This is the wrap-up segment here, so we're looking to wrap up. Mr. Gary, anything else you'd like to say or comment to the question that Mr. Boxer just statement is make?
Yeah, again, because I did see it in cabinet. Even
Not hearing.
cabinet, Keith Rowley stated to his whole cabinet he wish he could get 10
volume
Gary
going.
Griffiths to fix the
Your volume is not hearing you, Mr.
Gary,
Gary.
lose the volume.
Sorry, you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
hearing it clearly
Right.
now. Go ahead.
Yeah. And it happens in most cabinets. Keith Rowley, about just while I was commissioner, he told his cabinet he wished he could get 10 Gary Griffiths to fix the country. And then a year later, he's his biggest mistake. That is how politicians think and act and operate. I do not want to be in a cabinet where we'll just have people slamming a table blindly and not being there to tell. That is how I operated as a commissioner, as a minister of national security, being in United Nations in Haiti, involved in ECO as a platoon commander. I don't want yes people around me will lead us to our death or failure as a government. We need to have persons with the capability of being independent, that we think, we come across, we make a decision and listen to everybody, and then we make a final decision and we go with it. That is what I want. And it is hoped that Kamala Prasad-Bissessar can understand that the direction being made now, it is going to make it more difficult for that third constituency to shift if they continue to hear her comments, which reminds them so much of the Bazio Pandey of 2007. If it is she operates as the Bazio Pandey of 2000 or the Kamala Prasad-Bissessar of 2010, it will be much easier for me to get the third constituency to buy in and for them to understand that we are not here as a rubber stamp or just a lipstick, but we are here to assist and having a part in towards of making sure we have the best government this country has ever seen.
All right.
So
Well,
the same people you want to vote for you want to disrespect them by disrespecting the people that they love the most or the people that they want to represent
Well.
them. It won't work. It can't work. So here what you need to do, Kamala girl, Kamzi, I need to see her. Well, I know, I will talk to Jack, I'm going to give her a shout out about it. But I need to know, you need to tell me, if you want us to work for you, to get you back in office, you need to tell us that the people that we nominate to work for you, us, you need to respect them. And we need independent thinkers, not interdependent. Not them jokey Joe who have their agenda, who planning to fill their pocket, and Gary Griffith or Boxer Potts going to be an obstacle in the way when we come into office. Well, you're not getting into office. Your pocket not going to be full if you keep pushing us aside, disrespecting us. You're going to promote yourself into oblivion, not into office.
all right, folks. I know we coming to the end of the program, and this is the end of the program.
This is the end of
Right,
it.
so we would like to thank Mr. Guy Griffith for being here as our guest. And also, Boxo, thanks for being our co-host for today's program. Folks, as
We
you
want
heard,
to listen. We want to come back and we want to talk to Gary about policing only,
we want to do
national security.
how next week looking, Mr. Gary? We could do this every week like this?
Yeah, well, we have a platform.
Right?
We need to push it.
All right,
You need
cool.
we need
Definitely.
to streamline the
I'll look forward to it. There we go.
discourse.